Hello, everybody. I am Daniel. I'm the founder of Startup CPG, and I am so excited for this very timely webinar that we're doing with our friends from Quadra. Today, we're going to be talking all about fiber and the microbiome, and where can you source fiber? How do you formulate with it? What's going on in fiber? So many great topics that we're going to be talking about today. Really useful, especially as we're about to head into Expo, and I think hear more about fiber and see more stuff about fiber. As we all know, apparently this is the year of fiber. So we're about to get a great primer on all of it. And with that, I'm going to pass over to our friends from Quadra.
Awesome. Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, we're so excited to be here to host this webinar in partnership with Startup CPG. So there's so much innovation happening in this space, and we feel it incredibly inspiring. A little overwhelming, but we're here to kind of digest that with you guys and simplify things down and take you through our fiber and microbiome 101. So to get started, we have myself and two of my lovely colleagues from Quadra. My name is Nadine Court. I'm the brand marketing manager for the ingredients division here at Quadra. So I'll be kicking things off a little bit by walking through consumer and market trends, and then I will move things off to my colleague Lisa Nicholas Ash, who is our business development manager for supplements at Quadra. And Lisa will be taking you through a simple, no PhD required breakdown of what fiber is and how it interacts with the microbiome. And then lastly, my colleague Stephanie Wong, she is our R&D and Application Specialist, and she'll be focusing on rounding things out with real case studies and formulation guidance that she works on in a day-to-day life as our bakery and snack expert here at Quadra. So without further ado, I wanted to give a little bit of background about who we are as a business. So we here at Quadra, we are a full service ingredient partner that supports brands across various different types of categories, from supplements, bakery, snacks, beverages, and beyond. We connect emerging and established teams with high quality suppliers, technical know-how, and real formulation support as well. So feel free to scan this QR code on your screen. It just takes us to our website to explore a little bit of our extensive portfolio, all our different markets, as well as insights and resources as well. Now, so what makes Quadra different? A few things that we're really proud of. We build deep, trusted relationships with our suppliers. So that means you get reliability, quality. We bring technical expertise to the table. So our team doesn't just hand you an ingredient and disappear. And our national reach means we support brands across Canada as well as the US, big and small. And lastly, we always lead with an innovation mindset. So we're constantly tracking new consumer behaviors and emerging trends to help all of our customers stay ahead of the curve. So just to make sure you're in the right spot, this session is for everyone. This conversation is designed for early stage and scaling CPG brands, founders, product developers, marketers, and honestly, anyone curious about fiber and gut health innovation. So if you're building something new and you want to understand how fiber fits into the picture, you're absolutely in the right place. And just to go over a little bit of what you'll get from this webinar. So we broke it down into 4 simple steps. So we'll show you how to take fiber and prebiotic benefits and turn them into real products people actually want. We'll show how modern brands are making fiber feel fresh and exciting, not just old school and medicinal. And we'll give you a clear picture of which fibers to start with and why, as well as how to formulate smarter with fibers that support taste, texture, and digestive tolerance as well. So here's how we'll break things down for today. So starting it off, I will start with consumer and market trends that are currently shaping demand. Then I'll hand things over to my colleague Lisa, and she'll go over a digestible lesson on fiber and the microbiome. No advanced science degree required. And then finally, Stephanie will wrap us up with real life case studies from the Quadra portfolio and practical technical tips to help you formulate successfully.
I'm excited about this. I'm going to be such a pro at Expo. Just looking at this agenda, like, oh, I'm gonna know stuff. I love it.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. So now that we've kind of set the stage, let's shift a little bit into what's truly fueling today's fiber momentum. So the consumer, the market forces that are kind of reshaping innovation across food, beverage, supplements. This is where we start to see just how big this opportunity has actually become. And we're so excited. So why should startups really care about fiber? Honestly, because fiber has officially entered its reputation era. If you are a Taylor Swift fan, Taylor Swift reinvented herself. So fiber is doing the exact same. So fiber is no longer a quiet nutrition corner. It's now one of the strongest wellness drivers in the global market. We're seeing explosive growth across categories. So food and beverage launches containing fiber are up nearly 60% between 2023 and 2025, which is amazing. Supplement launches alone with fiber are growing steadily at 6 to 7%. And in beverages specifically, products with prebiotic claims have climbed over 50% since 2020. So you may be asking yourself why. Now, because fiber supports so many of the benefits consumers care about most. They care about digestive comfort, metabolic support, immune resilience. And as well, fiber enables meaningful, credible on-pack claims that help brands stand out to the everyday consumer. But here's the kicker. Even with all of this momentum, fiber is still profoundly underconsumed. About 90% of people globally are not getting enough fiber in their diets. And wherever there's a gap this massive between needs and solutions, you'll find an equally big opportunity for innovation. If this all sounds a little familiar, it's because we've seen a wellness shift like this before with protein. But today, protein is no longer the cultural it nutrient. Consumers want something that solves more aspects of daily health, not just muscle or energy. And fiber has successfully stepped into that spotlight. So movements like fiber maxing and fiber layering have taken control of TikTok and Reddit, making gut health and fiber intake generally cool for younger consumers. Millennials and Gen Z, who are driving functional beverage and snack purchases, they're treating fiber like a must-have, not a nice-to-have. Now, when consumers say they want more fiber, what they're really saying is, I want better gut health. That's simple. Now, in the US, fiber is now the most recognized ingredient associated with gut and microbiome support. So you have influencers, journalists, nutritionists, and retailers all are framing fiber as that essential nutrient for digestive comfort, immune function, blood sugar balance, and satiety. So consumers are just increasingly understanding that fiber is a multi-benefit ingredient, not just one for regularity. And this broader understanding creates even more of a space for different product types and different usage occasions for new brands looking to innovate in that space. Now, one of the biggest cultural shifts right now is the rise of GLP-1 medications. So we've all known this, and we've all seen it over the last couple of years, just the amount of boom that these medications have had. They've completely reshaped how consumers think about appetite and fullness and nutrient density. Even consumers not using these medications, but are influenced by the conversations, are looking for smaller portions that deliver more nutrition. And fiber fits perfectly into this new landscape. People want help with satiety, blood sugar management, digestion, and feeling full without extreme restriction. And fiber delivers all of that in kind of like a natural, familiar, and food first way. So as a result, we're seeing a wave of focus on pairing fibers with protein or even creating products that support overall metabolic wellness. Now, in 2026, fiber forward products aren't niche. They're everywhere. We've seen them everywhere. They're on every single shelf across all different types of categories. So we're seeing a huge growth in prebiotic sodas, functional beverages, better for you snacks, bakery and baked goods, GLP-1 support, as well as everyday kind of digestive powders and supplements as well. And here's the kicker too. Whole Foods Market even named added fiber call-outs as one of its core 2026 trends, especially in beverages, bakery, and snacking. And then when a retailer of this scale spotlights a nutrient, it signals sustained consumer pull, not just a quick fad. Now, within this fiber category, my colleague Lisa, she'll go into a little bit more about prebiotics specifically, but I wanted to give a bigger picture of where prebiotics were shaping and growing the fastest in the market. So the US prebiotic fiber market hit roughly $1.45 billion in 2025. And this is astounding. Like it continues to grow. Its brands are leveraging, these ingredients for multifunctional and formulation benefits. And you may be asking yourself, why the surge? So prebiotic fibers support sugar reduction, fat replacement, clean label claims, and microbiome focused messaging as well. Now, they do all of this, but they also give brands a strong functional narrative. The one watch out, though, which my colleague Lisa will discuss further, is dosage intolerance. But essentially, the startups getting this right introduce prebiotics in a way that feels effortless, enjoyable, and gentle on the gut, simply put.
I have a question. We see protein in everything right now. Like, oh, could you launch that with protein? That's an innovation. It's like everything. What do you, if you, probably a lot of that's coming with fiber also. Do you feel like there are some categories that are just like, okay, fiber, like soda, like really but like we're going to see that come a little bit later for protein. Is there a way to think about what might have hit really well with protein versus what can hit really well with fiber?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting conversation. I mean, there's lots of different topics. I think one of the huge things that I think needs to be worked on a bit more is the formulation aspect, like the difference between how fibers can be formulated in, beverages versus certain proteins. So that to me is maybe a reason why, things aren't moving the quickest in terms of, moving those different applications over. But Stephanie will kind of walk through why that is as well. But
Perfect.
It's really interesting because fiber is coming up in, applications that we wouldn't have even thought of just because of its popularity nowadays.
So interesting. Like you'll see the stuff that kind of popularized it, but it can go into just huge variety of applications.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so kind of along with that, we're seeing a huge shift as well in the supplement landscape. It kind of tells the same exact story. So gut health supplements are on track to hit numbers that would honestly impress even Marvel box office analysts. We're talking billions and billions of dollars. Um, and the North American gut health supplement market is on track to actually nearly double from 2024 to 2033. So microbiome supplements alone are already over 3 billion, and prebiotic fibers represent a multi-billion dollar segment all on their own as well. And lastly, North America makes up about 35% of the global prebiotic fiber supplement market, which means this region is both a hotbed for innovation and actually a proving ground for what consumers will buy as well. But where the opportunity gets especially exciting, consumers know fiber matters, obviously, but they don't fully understand why. Most people are only associating fiber with digestion. They're not yet connecting it to immunity, microbiome diversity, metabolic health, or even weight management. So that gap between awareness and understanding leaves a huge opening for brands who can educate simply, clearly, and confidently as well. Not with lectures, with scientific overload, just with kind of helpful everyday guidance. So this is where messaging becomes make or break. The brands that nail fiber messaging, they keep it human, simple. The most successful startups kind of emphasize gut friendly, not just high fiber. They lean into prebiotic support, not grams. They highlight kind of everyday benefits, so energy, comfort, satiety, without kind of crossing into medical territory. And equally important, they avoid kind of over-promising and overwhelming shoppers with that clinical jargon as well. So essentially, the brands winning today aren't the ones shouting the loudest. They're the ones making fiber feel friendly, accessible, and modern as well. So, what does this all mean if you're building or scaling a brand? Now, I wanted to have these 4 specific takeaways that you can take from my section here, and it's that fiber today mirrors the early days of protein. So, demand is high, options are limited, and differentiation is wide open. The most effective positioning is gut friendly, functional, and seamlessly integrated into daily routines. Fiber performs best when the consumer doesn't feel it, but absolutely feels all the benefits to it. And then lastly, the biggest wins will come from brands that make fiber easy to understand, enjoyable to consume, and clearly connected to better everyday health. Now that we've explored a little bit of the consumer and category drivers, as well as trends, we'll bring this a little bit to life. So I love to do this thing with my team where, if we're ideating, I like to bring in some new products, seeing what is going on the market in Canada and the US, seeing how brands are, positioning things on their packaging, as well as product formats. So I got 6 examples of really cool products that I thought were diversified across various different applications and showed showed really good examples of products where fiber is being integrated successfully. So here are 6 products that I wanted to highlight. You'll see various different applications. So the top 3 are more of the food applications, and then bottom would be more supplement and health focused. So we have good gummies here with their protein and fiber gummies. So in like a confectionery application. Then you'll have Flora, who, if you guys are familiar with Jenny's ice cream, this is the same brand. So they created a fiber bar. to help diversify their portfolio and kind of go into that space as well. And then we have Ratio made a pro fiber yogurt, so combining the protein and fiber claims into one easy, consumable serving size. Now, moving on to more of the supplement and health focused products, we have Niyama, who has a You've Got This powder for prebiotics, probiotics, that you can mix in with various different things within your routine. And Supergut, they've been a champion for gut health just in their branding, but they came out with the GLP-1 daily support. So hitting, more of that narrative of essential nutrients along with fiber to help people who are on GLP-1 medications throughout the day. And then lastly, a really cool innovation is this Beekeepers Naturals Kids Fiber Pops. So taking, fiber and putting it into an application that is suitable for kids. So that is really cool. And my colleague Lisa will dive a little bit further into what specific fibers are being used in these products later on in her part. But that's all from me. I'll pass things over to my colleague Lisa. She'll give a no PhD required kind of deep dive into the microbiome as well as fibers. So passing it off to you, Lisa.
Thanks, Nadine. Really great introduction, and the reason why there's such a significant growing interest in fiber and the microbiome. And as noted in the agenda, this is the science portion of the webinar. We keep saying no PhD required. There are none of those letters behind my name. What we just wanted to do is provide a general overview of definitions, concepts that you might have heard or know a little bit about, give some context to those so that you might know what areas to focus on next. And this information really comes from representing a number of fiber and prebiotic manufacturers over the years and the experience of supporting our customers in bringing great products to the market. All right, so let's jump into the microbiome. So the human microbiome includes all microbes associated with the human body, including approximately 90% that are found in the gut, which is why it's so important to have a good understanding. But they can also be found on your skin, in your respiratory tract, and in other body sites. Although it's not completely clear what makes up the perfect mix of gut microbiomes, we do know that their activities are very important aspects of our overall health and can play a critical role in digestion, immunity, metabolism, among other things. You might be wondering what those microbes do. In the gut, they're very busy harvesting energy from the food we eat and working to improve the conditions of the gut. It may be protecting against pathogens, synthesizing vitamins and hormones, or helping to reinforce the gut barrier. And outside of the gut, they bolster your immune system, affect circulating blood lipids, and produce and modulate hormones, just to name a few things. So how do we ensure that we keep them happy and healthy so that they're on top of their game while in our body? Well, by consuming probiotics and prebiotics and leading a healthy, active lifestyle with a range of healthy foods, and of course, that includes fiber. So there have been many, many studies done through all of life stages that show having a healthy gut microbiome supports a number of health benefits, from infants at birth through midlife hormonal changes and into our senior years. The type and amount of good bacteria can significantly improve the way our bodies function. And although we won't get into all the specific details of those mechanisms today, I do encourage you to do the research based on the type of product you're thinking about bringing to the market, as well as your target audience, and determining if your outcome is the desired result of your end consumer. So now let's take a look at some words or definitions that you might have heard, but maybe unsure of what they mean or how they relate to each other. So I'm going to start with probiotics. So the probiotics are the actual live microbes themselves. You might be familiar with some common strains, such as lactobacillus or bifidobacteria, that may be in your daily yogurt or daily supplement. The prebiotics, on the other hand, is the carbohydrate or the food that the probiotic needs to survive and grow. There's lots of prebiotics in our daily foods that you might already be consuming, such as onions, leeks, asparagus, chicory root, and also we're also consuming resistant starches, such as those from potatoes and green bananas. So let's chat a little bit more about probiotics. So being as that they are an actual live culture, they can impact an immediate change to the microbiome. However, there are some potential stability issues with some strains that have conditions on time, temperature, or pH in processing. And always be sure to understand the regulatory framework in your region to determine any correct claims. On the prebiotic side, as we've said, they are the food to support the probiotic. They too, however, have some restrictions in terms of the type of processing best used for them, along with claims and regulatory status. The prebiotics are generally an easier product to start working with, as it's likely more stable, has a longer shelf life, and much easier to place into food, beverage, and supplement applications. So to wrap up on microbiome, based on the numbers there's a very large potential market and a variety of opportunities to create new products. Just look at the potential growth in that market and the expectations that it's going to produce in the future. We know that we are just at the beginning stages of a very large upswing and interest in this area. So let's move over to discuss Fiber 101, all that it entails to support digestive health and beyond. We're going to spend some time talking about 4 different categories of fiber: soluble, insoluble, prebiotics, and resistant starch, and give you a bit more detail and examples of each type. So I'm going to go back also to something that Nadine touched on earlier that has to do with the new trends of fiber maxing and fiber layering. So we can understand that fiber maxing is getting the most amount of fiber per day, but fiber layering out is an interesting one, and it actually takes things one step further in showing the diversity of the type of fiber and the positive changes to the gut bacterial activity that it can show. All right, let's start off with a fiber that I'm sure everyone's already familiar with, and that's a soluble fiber. So foods high in soluble fibers, such as oats or psyllium, combine with water in your digestive system to create a gel-like substance that actually acts like a sponge. This helps to lead to beneficial health benefits, such as a reduction in blood sugar and cholesterol levels. This fiber can lead to increased viscosity and texture in a food matrix, so keep that in mind when formulating. And Stephanie will address some of this processing do's and don'ts in the next section. The next fiber, insoluble fiber, as the name implies, is not soluble in water. It stays intact through the digestive system. This could include whole wheat products, whole grains, corn brands. In terms of health benefits, this broom, as we call it, is very helpful for better regularity, which leads to less bouts of constipation. Moving on to the prebiotics, which we've already touched on, we've said is the food for the gut microbiota. We're really looking for a precision food to help promote the growth of good bacteria in the gut, leading to increased health benefits. And lastly, resistant starch. This fiber gets fermented in the large intestines, but does act like a fiber during digestion. It supports satiety, lowers glycemic impact, and we see this one used a lot in snacks, bakery, and supplement powders. So just a quick note that there's actually 4 different types of resistant starches. So you might see when you're doing any research that a resistant starch has an RS notation and a number based on the type that it is. Quadra does have a variety of options that fall within this resistant starch category. And I'll just give you a quick example of each of those. So a RS1 example would actually be seeds or beans or lentils. And really, the resistant starch itself is trapped within the cell wall. It actually requires chewing and digestion to release the starch. And R2 resistant starch is naturally resistant due to the dense structure. So perfect examples would be raw potatoes or green bananas. So in this case, you might be very familiar with a chewy, starchy taste and texture of a very green banana, or the starch that you see when you're cutting up new potatoes. An R3 example is when starch foods are cooked and cooled, which causes the structure to change, just like in pasta or potatoes. And I know most of us, use that potato water or that pasta water to thicken up whatever sauce we're making or gravy on the side. And then resistant starch, R4, are actually man-made starches that are altered to resist digestion. Modified starches such as corn, potato, or rice, and they're typically found in processed foods and cereals. All right, we've got to stop and have a chat about digestive tolerance. So if we go back to the slide that Nadine previously mentioned, we're talking about 90% of the population that doesn't get enough fiber in their daily diet. So if you want to improve this and you decide that you need to double the amount of fiber you're having, it actually doesn't really matter what type of fiber you're adding to your diet. It may just be fruits and vegetables, or it may be one of these resistant starches, etc., that we're talking about today. Any way you look at it, if you're going to significantly increase the fiber that you're consuming on a daily dose, it's going to take a while for your system to adjust, and you may have some additional digestion issues. So gas, bloating, abdominal discomfort. So the same thing happens with some of the fibers that we're talking about. And we do have to keep in mind that some consumers do have sensitivities to specific types. And there is also a portion of that is dependent upon the type of application, whether it's in a liquid form, etc., rather than in a food matrix. So just be aware of the type of fiber, the combination of fiber, and the concentration of fibers in your final product. It may lead you to look at blending different types of fibers. You may want to use lower single-serve doses if we are talking about adding, these types of fiber products daily. We're having extra at breakfast, we're having extra at lunch, we're having more in the evening. Or you may want to have a gradual build-up instruction on your packaging type. And then we're going to take just a quick look here again. So Nadine already called out all of these products earlier. What I want you to all take a look at is you'll see we have listed below the types of fiber that each of these products is using on pack, and feel free to look them up and take a look at those. So you will see fibers from a variety of different options. So we've got inulin, we've got corn, potato, oats, green bananas, and vegetables. So each manufacturer has chosen based on their application, and in some cases has combined for a particular health claim. So you'll notice even some are in combination with probiotics. So the options are really, really endless. And now I'm going to hand it over to Stephanie for the best portion of the presentation, digging deeper into the processing of the types of these products and the case studies. Stephanie?
Thanks, Lisa. So as you have seen in the previous slides, there's so many different types of fibers. So how do you actually go about selecting which fiber to formulate with? Now, unfortunately, there's no one-size-fits-all solution, but to make your lives a bit easier, we have come up with some key considerations to help you make a more informed decision. First, let's talk about the type of product. You will use different fibers if you are, say, making a granola bar versus a beverage. And later in the case studies, you will see how we use different fibers in various applications and learn the why. Next, the processing of your product matters. For instance, some manufacturers prefer to use powdered ingredients over liquid or vice versa. Another example is if your processing step has little or no shear, your fiber needs to be easily dispersible. Then, if we talk about things like baked goods, there is usually some heat involved. So you will need to select a fiber with good heat stability. Then say you're talking about a shelf-stable beverage, you will likely need your fiber to be soluble in order to prevent separation over the shelf life. But say on the flip side, if you're making a pasta that gets boiled, you will need to use an insoluble fiber so it doesn't leach out during the boiling process. Also, when we talk about beverages like sodas, they tend to have a low pH. So again, you really need to select that fiber that can tolerate all your processing conditions. Furthermore, the fiber's properties matter. In addition to giving you desirable health benefits, some fibers can absorb water, which impact texture and mouthfeel. Others can impart their own flavors, like bitterness, or even enhance ones, like sweetness. And some can even cause additional browning during heating or baking. As a result, you will need to adjust your formulation to accommodate for some of these changes, and these are things like adding additional water, adjusting your baking parameters, or even adding some flavor maskers. Another great way to really help overcome some of these challenges is by combining different fibers, which, as Lisa has mentioned, would also give you the health benefits of fiber layering. Lastly, your desired labeling and claims will impact your fiber choice. If you're looking to add the prebiotic claim on your packaging, you will need to ensure that the fiber has an approved claim in the country that you will sell your product in, and this requires scientific evidence, and then you'll also have to ensure that you add it in the right quantity. Thankfully, your fiber supplier can really help guide you towards these two considerations. And companies can also select specific fiber sources for their ingredient declarations as well. If you're looking to make a keto or net carb product, it will then further determine how much fiber you will need to add. Now, in the next few slides, we will be giving you examples of various products and the fibers used. First up, we have a confectionery product we developed called the Lullaby Bonbon. It is a multi-textured confection featuring a velvety, bright citrus cream and a chocolate outer layer, all designed to help the consumer unwind and feel amazing right before going to bed. What else makes this product interesting? So this product is actually reduced in sugar, contains prebiotic fiber, and features 13 grams of fiber per 2 of these bonbons. Now, how did we achieve the 13-gram fiber content? We used a combination of resistant potato starch, soluble corn fiber, and inulin. The resistant potato starch is providing most of the fiber content within the filling, as well as the prebiotic claim for the US market. The soluble corn fiber, note that it's available in powdered and liquid forms, adds to the fiber content, but again, back to that functionality aspect, is also giving the filling body and texture. Lastly, the inulin is formulated in the outer chocolate layer of the confectionery, and this specific type of inulin, and note there's different grades depending on what your needs are, and it's easy to add in fat-based food matrices like chocolate, and in this case is actually providing some sweetness as well for sugar reduction. Now onto a beverage application. We have a ready-to-mix Haskell berry elixir for daily support. It is prebiotic, a high source of fiber, and improves digestive health. The soluble fiber from the barley flour, as part of a diet low in saturated fat and cholesterol, may reduce the risk of heart disease. A serving of this ready-to-mix beverage supplies the 3 grams of soluble fiber from barley flour necessary per day to have this effect. The beverage also features the refreshing flavors from Haskell berries. In the US, it's also called honeyberry, known for its antioxidant properties. And here contains 8 grams of fiber per 13-gram tablespoon. This unique blend has resistant potato starch, barley flour, and psyllium husk. The resistant potato starch provides prebiotic benefits, while the psyllium husk and barley flour contribute soluble fiber that has the potential to reduce the risk of heart disease. When mixed, the psyllium also thickens the beverage, helping suspend the potato starch while also slowing digestion and increasing satiety. We have another ready-to-mix berry blush drink positioned as a daily prebiotic fiber beverage bursting with vibrant flavors promoting glowing health. The previous one featured both insoluble and soluble fibers, while this one features only soluble, giving the beverage really different health benefits and product characteristics. It is low in sugar, tastes delicious, and features 6 grams of fiber per 12 fluid ounce of mixed product. This drink is formulated with inulin and acacia gum. This type of inulin and acacia gum can be used to make a prebiotic claim in both Canada and the US. And this combination of the two really maximizes the fiber content without impacting the mouthfeel. You can see in the photo it is a clear, thin beverage, where in contrast to the previous one, here you want a little less body. Next, we have a chewy seed-based bar called our Seed and Citrus Gut Glow Bar. What makes this bar interesting is a combination of taste and texture, as well as other nutritional highlights, being sugar-reduced, gluten-free, plant-based, and also containing 10 grams of fiber per 40-gram bar. The fiber sources for this bar, we have 4. It's a combination of resistant potato starch, soluble corn fiber, inulin, and acacia gum. Here we decided to have 4 types of fiber for improved gut tolerance, as well as providing different gut health benefits. 2 of the fibers in this formulation are also providing functional benefits. The soluble corn fiber and inulin are acting as a binder in order to hold the oats, seeds, and dried fruit you can see in the photo, while also giving it a nice chewy texture. Last but not least, moving on to my favorite segment, bakery, we have a savory mini muffin that combines the texture of cornbread with bold Mexican flavors like chili lime and smoky peppers. 3 of these mini muffins contain 10 grams of net carbs and a high source of fiber at 6 grams. The fibers we used here include resistant wheat starch and acacia gum. For muffins, batter viscosity is very important because it needs to be thin enough to pump, and the acacia gum does not increase batter viscosity while also improving moisture retention over shelf life. The resistant wheat starch, on the other hand, works so well in baked goods to maintain good volume and a fluffy texture.
Let me just to remind everyone, because someone was like, those bonbons look good, I want them. Where can I get them? Like these are sample applications that you're just using to illustrate. These are the kind of products you could launch with some of the ingredients that you guys have, obviously, right? Is that a good way to describe it?
Yeah, and these are like prototypes at Quadra, we go to various maybe like 5 or 6 trade shows every year, and my role is to like come up with these actually recipes to showcase ingredients in our portfolio. So we actually showcased this at IFT last year. It's the Institute of Food Technologists trade show in Chicago every year. It's happening again in July. So we actually showed some of these, and they're really good. Like especially the bonbon is very nice.
Cool. So good examples for people. They could even replicate it if they wanted. If they like your concept a lot, maybe they'll be nice and give you some credit. But they can then.
And they should always come by the Quadra booth, because you never know what kind of new prototype we're going to have to offer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good point. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I interrupted
No
your
worries.
flow.
I love the candidness. And as you can see from the 5 different, they're very different case studies. The type of fiber selected is key. The power of combining fibers is very real. You have to balance nutrition and function within your recipe while optimizing for the processing conditions. We at Quadra can really help guide you to the right fiber by diving deeper into your type of product, the processing, and your ultimately desired outcomes for your product. But yeah, that's all the case studies, and I will pass it back to Nadine.
Awesome. Thanks, Steph. Yeah, and just to reiterate, we have an incredible team of R&D specialists, and Stephanie is just one amazing example for she specializes more in our bakery and snack segments, but we have technical experts in dairy and beverage and savory and sauces, as well as supplements. And our team does, a great job of, taking really cool ingredients and trying to inspire some of the customers that we work with on a day-to-day basis through these real life case studies. So if you ever see us on a show floor at a show coming up, please stop by, try these. Some of you on this call may have even tried them if you were at Supply Side West or IFT. But I just wanted to highlight that. So let's digest a little bit of what we just went through throughout this whole webinar. We know it was a lot of information, but let's digest it a little bit together. So before we wrap, I wanted to highlight some big ideas that you can take away from this presentation. Fiber is foundational to gut health innovation. We all know that. Hopefully you know that after watching this webinar with us. As well as choosing the right fiber makes a huge difference in how your product performs. So Stephanie gave some great examples of that. And early formulation and sourcing decisions can save a ton of time and rework. So please come to us if you want us to answer some questions. We can connect you with the right person. And then you definitely don't have to figure this all out on your own. That's what we're here for at Quadra. We have technical experts across various different types of roles, and they'd love to, speak to you if you're walking on a show or if you just want to reach out to us through our website. We'd love to partner with you and help you troubleshoot anything that you're working on. So in terms of kind of how we can support your brand, we have a very wide fiber portfolio across different types of applications. We have hands-on R&D and formulation support. We have a great quality and regulatory and logistics team as well across Canada and the US, as well as we have market and sourcing insights to help guide kind of smart decisions. So,
and just to double click on this a little bit. So you guys can supply as ingredients a lot of the different kinds of fiber that we've been talking about on this. And so the best way for people to get in touch with you, I know we had the QR code at the beginning. I grabbed the bit.ly from that. So I'm just going to drop it here in the chat if anybody wants to chat with this team. So you can supply the ingredients. And also if you're making one of the things like you showed in the case study or just something on your own or with your formulator, you can also support that process. You can give some guidance around R&D and formulation. You have a lot of the insights, which is nice to have. And you just showed it because there's a lot of really nice data in this presentation. So thank you guys for all of that. I could hear people like writing everything down and really just try to help brands get these products that you guys are supporting out into the market.
Yeah, absolutely. We're kind of like I say all the time, we're like a one-stop shop for most things. Even if you're looking for more things than just fiber, please just go through our website and look at our portfolio and reach out to us. And we're always looking to, help new brands, and especially across Canada and the US. So we're your ingredients team, we're your troubleshooting team, and sometimes even your brainstorming team too. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Yeah.
And just to tee up a nice, easy one, what makes people choose? Like, what makes people choose Quadra for fiber? What makes people love you guys? What differentiates you guys? And also, how can they actually get it? Like, it goes direct from you guys or their distributors? How does that work?
Yeah. So we partner with some really incredible suppliers who are very passionate about their, fibers and what their fibers have to offer. So along with partnering with those suppliers, we bring all of their knowledge with us. We have great relationships with them, so we can even get you in contact and have conversations with the actual supplier of the ingredient. But in terms of simplicity, where we have our product portfolio. So you can actually go on and like shop and see all of the ingredients that we offer. It's great, user friendly. So if you were looking for just inspiration or just to see what we offer, we have everything focused on our product portfolio. So in terms of making things really easy, we connect you with, a sales team member that is either a part of, your specific kind of segment. We'll match you that way and move things forward pretty quickly. We love having relationships with people. We have long-standing, people who work at Quadra. Lisa, for example, has been here with us for 25 years. So we have lots of people who love our business, and we'd love to partner with new brands, especially in.
And we got a bunch of requests for your booth number, and I see that Christine dropped it in the chat here. So it's, I'm just highlighting it here, 2599.
Yes, perfect.
Can I just jump in, Nadine? Of course, I did start at Quadra when I was 5, just to be clear. But the one thing that I also wanted to mention is, we do have that privilege of working with a number of different manufacturers. So if you go out on your own and you're trying to source, you may get information from one manufacturer, and that's great. That's wonderful. That's fantastic. But if you do come to us and bring us what application you're looking for, we may have a multitude of products that do work based on your specific application. We're not the experts, we do have the manufacturers that give us the science, and if you need to dig deeper into that, you can do that. But you just have a variety and a nice option of a number of products to get started with.
And so there are a bunch of questions in the chat. I'm like tempted to go into all of them, but there's so many. I would say if you have a detailed question, I really encourage you just to fill out the form on the Bitly and chat with the team here. As you can see, they are nice people and they know a lot about a lot, and they will be happy to chat with you. So I'm just dropping that Bitly in the chat here one more time. I guess what's a watch out for brands when they're sourcing something like fiber, just to make sure they don't, like, what mistakes do you see people making?
I can jump in if you want, Nadine. I think probably first and foremost is really understanding the regulatory side of things. So each of the different fibers that we talked about, in order to, let's say, make a prebiotic claim or a fiber claim, each of them is a different concentration or a different dosage that you have to use. So you really need to know what that is. And you really need to know the regulations in where either the area you're producing or the area you're going to be selling into. So you don't want to mess any of that up. I think Nadine did a great job of sort of also putting the messaging at the beginning of this. We used to see a lot of things that were solely, high source of fiber, source of fiber, high source, etc. And it was really a gram amount. And we see that people are moving away from that. They want a little bit more. They want to dig in. Of course, you're still going to see the amount of fiber on your nutrient fact panel, but also what other positive attributes that fiber may bring.
That's a very good answer. And I think it's a really helpful thing for brands just to make sure you're buttoned up on this one, because it's not fun when you get that. You'll get that email from somebody who's fishing around to see what's going on with your claims, and you want to make sure you have the answer because they're going to ask you, and then you'll have the right one. Yeah. There are a lot of questions. I don't know if you want to pick maybe one or two of them off the chat. You can see in the Q&A there are a lot. This was a very popular webinar. I can see great. People are thank you guys. Honestly, I hope everyone will join me in thanking the Quadra team. This is really an excellent webinar. There's so much good information in here.
Yeah, I just put this QR code here. So there's a dedicated kind of page that we created more for fiber specifically. So if you scan that, you can see the ones we offer in our portfolio. Some really cool blogs we've had written specifically for CPG brands and fiber. And as well, Lisa and I, we will be at Natural Products Expo next week. So please stop by and have a fiber conversation with us. Or if you want any other questions answered, we'd love to kind of be your go-to for kind of insights, resources. And we have some great blogs on our website. So please feel free to scan and explore. And This is
So
very,
maybe
very
of the
common.
questions here, I don't know if you want to pick one or I can pick one.
There's a question there asking sort of about brands on the market and maybe trying to recreate or produce something similar. We'll just leave it at that. So I think obviously a good place to start is taking a look at what products are on their label, and then reaching out and having a conversation with us about, do we have those? What does that look like? And again, or customizing it. Do you want to lean into something that is more geared to seniors, is more geared to, women's health is also a huge trend, et cetera. I'm obviously on the supplement side, so I spend more time there, but, trying to really understand what is your end result, the consumer that you want to focus on, and then reach out to us. We're more than happy to try and guide you in the right direction.
Okay, great. And then maybe there were a lot of questions that were around like dosage and of different types, concentration, different kinds of fiber.
Yeah.
Like I think one person even asked from a consumer perspective, like, can I just eat any of these kinds? Like how much do I need? I know it's tough to give an exact answer, especially to a mass audience in a webinar like this, but maybe you could
Yeah.
comment on it in some way about like if you want more resources to look at that or just have a chat with us. Well, how would you direct people?
Sure. And I think we purposely chose to not to get into the specifics of dosing, et cetera, concentrations today. As I said, like each fiber has their own, has their own concentration, and therefore the amount needed in order to make a claim is different. So we could definitely, without getting into all of the different types and products, et cetera, we could never target all of that. There is, I mean, I guess personally, if you're looking for information, and we didn't include it in here, but I do want to say that in terms of personal usage, I want to say it's around 25 grams for women and 35 grams for men a day. And of course, that can come from anywhere. And it's always good to start with a good, healthy diet with lots of vegetables and fruits. But, and then that also, leads into the tolerance conversation, because you do have to be careful, especially when you're starting, if you're really increasing the amount that you are having, and keep track of that. If you are adding it to, let's say, every meal and every snack that you're having throughout the day, we don't want anyone to run into any digestive issues. We want the positive health benefits of it.
All right. Thank you guys. Really, this is just one of my favorites in terms of just the density of the great info that we have here. You could almost call it fibrous and how
Yes.
dense and helpful it is. So thank you guys. We're really excited to see you at Expo. I know you're going to have a lot of visitors coming by from this webinar to get some more info. Great. Thank you for all the love emojis coming from everyone in the cloud. I feel the same way. Thank you guys. So definitely reach out to the team and we will see you all soon. Thanks everyone for joining. All right.